Hello Dota fans and welcome to Breakdown. I'm your host Bonsai and today we'll be taking a look at OG. OG was characterized by success and stability since their formation after TI5, winning both the Frankfurt and Manila majors. However, when it mattered most, they fell short at the International, losing to underdogs TNC and placing 9th through 12th. Post-TI, OG saw their star mid, Miracle, consistent support, Crit, and explosive offlaner Moon Meander all leave for non-green pastures. To replace them, they brought in superstar support Jirax, former TI3 champion S4, and Australian pub star Anna. Choosing to take on a new challenge, S4 will be taking the offlane with Anna handling mid lane. Can OG manage to put it all together with their new roster and reach the pinnacle of Dota 2 again? I brought in the International's in-game stats man, the amazing Mr. Noxville, to answer that and more. How you doing, Noxville?
Hey, I'm great. I'm Noxville, as you said, and I do a variety of statistics for Dota 2, working at events, like you said, the International, as well as working with talent and production to inform everyone about statistics.
Excellent. So what do you think of this new OG roster? Are you excited?
I think on paper you have to view these changes as a downgrade. Losing a player as talented as Miracle can only be described as a downgrade. He is a fantastic player, almost never the worst player on his team. Even in losses, he performed excellently. That said, when you start talking about the top Dota 2 teams, it's not just about the individual skill. It's about the synergy between the players. Individual skill means a lot, but it's a synergy that takes you over the top. So it'll always be a very important indicator for the future success of a team. If OG can get the synergy right, they can stay a top team. But it seems difficult with such a big change to get that synergy right from the get-go.
Yeah, that was something that No Tail talked about the being on the same page, and that was sort of his problem that he saw with OG at the International of they weren't on the same page. So going into MDL, what do you think that fans should be hopeful about for this team? They look interesting on paper. They're, as you said, they look like a little bit of a downgrade, but they still look like a very good team. What do you kind of like about them going into this?
Okay, so, I mean, Fly and No Tail are still together. They're the creative geniuses behind OG. They both relatively young. I mean, most of the Dota 2 players are relatively young. They're smart, they're very creative, and they're very competitive. Like, they're not the type of players that ever give up. And I think that those are like excellent characteristics. And also, from what I heard just after the International, most of this team was decided very well, not most of the team, but the formations of OG and the understanding of how the team is going to work was decided pretty much as the International ended, as players rosters started swapping around. So they were ready from the get-go to get this team up and running, and I believe they've had quite a lot of practice. So I mean, I think that's definitely a perk for the team. They're very motivated, they're very dedicated to getting up and getting going. They want to get back to the top because going into TI, they were viewed as the favorites. They got knocked out very early, and they want to prove that they can bounce back.
Yeah, I mean, they have added S4, who is a former Valve event winner, so that is an impressive change to add him. What do you think that people should be worried about? Is S4 chained into the mid lane? Do you think that's going to create a problem for this team? Do you think he's obviously a very talented player, and he could probably do it pretty damn well and better than most, but do you think that he'll be able to compete at that level? And is there anything else that's going to be kind of a problem for them?
Well, it's difficult because Notel, like Anna's historically a mid player. Notel has been playing is demarcated as their core player, but S4 also, like he said in a recent comment, that he would be playing mid. So they're probably going to be quite versatile, swapping around between that. Probably we'll have to see exactly how their like laning setup works. But I think the biggest worry for OG is the fact that Crit is gone, because Crit is the player that was always relieving pressure from Miracle. He was the player who was making a lot of very flashy, very technical plays for a long time, and his hero pool was what made opponents draft very carefully around OG. And his role was like it's kind of unique in some way, but it puts a lot of pressure now on someone like Jirax, who's coming in, and you have two players in Fly and No Tail who are the same, and they've chosen Jirax to replace Crit, and as a result, Crit in his mind must be thinking, how is he going to fill the boots of Jirax? How is he going to fill the boots of Crit? how's he going to be able to pull off the performances that he did? So I think that that's quite a lot of pressure. That's not something I think Jirax is unfamiliar with, but I think that we just have to see how he handles it, and that's really the worry for me is whether he can or can't fill the exact role that's Crit did.
So you'd say that that's sort of the X factor for the team. If Jirax can step into that role that Crit filled, they'll do very, very well here and going forward. And if not, that's going to spell almost doom.
I think that that's more like the worry, not necessarily the X factor. Like they need him to perform that. The worry is just if he doesn't perform well, if he is not able to be a playmaker. But the X factor, the wow factor, is definitely for OG the core dynamic, as you alluded to. S4 being a very, very strong player, very talented player, and very good at assessing like the mistakes he made, the how to improve, how to not make that mistake again, how to come up with interesting ways to out mind game his opponent. And we know that S4 has a very versatile player. I mean, when he was in Secret, he played mid and safe lane, so his hero pool is very wide. Like it wasn't like there was some heroes which they played mid and some heroes which they played safe, and he would only play some heroes. There was a lot of overlap between him and Arteezy on specific heroes. Even on something as signature as Arteezy's Shadow Fiend, we often saw S4 play the hero. Notail also was a player that played support for a very long time when he was on Fnatic EU. And since then on Cloud9, also played very, very wide hero pool as a support. One of the widest, I would have to say. And then he moved to core. So he's also a very, very versatile player. And he's also the kind of player that would definitely be willing to play support, let's say support stylistically viewed heroes in a core role. And this means that Anna's slotting in here with two very, very versatile cores. And if they can get that dynamic going, if they're able to swap up the lanes and come up with interesting, hard to predict lanes, it's a huge strength for their team. And I think that that's actually the X factor for the team. If they get their cores in sync, then they're in a then that's what could propel them to the top.
All right. Is there anything else that we've missed here that you'd like to kind of speak a little bit about?
Okay. Well, I mean, I think the one thing that's very important is the fact that fucking mad or effing mad or sevening mad is at least at this time still demarcated as the coach of OG. And if he is still staying with the team and traveling with them, he's a very smart player. He's very, very, very able, very willing and able to assess what's right and wrong about a team and correct those issues. We've seen in many teams that he's been on before, including Alliance. He was able to fix up a lot of the drafting issues, a lot of the play and style issues, even on a team as experienced as Alliance. They had so many players who played with each other. And he came in and he took them from, I would say, like a tier 2 to a tier 1.5 team in just a matter of months before leaving the team. And if he is still with the team, that's very big. And I think the other thing is also OG is in Group B, which is potentially, at least on paper and according to pundits, a slightly stronger group rather. So I think that they've got their work cut out for them, but in either regard, it's going to be a cracker of a tournament.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Noxville. Is there anywhere where people can go ahead and find you on social media or contact you otherwise?
Yeah, sure. I'm sure you'll link it below, but I'm Noxville ZA. That's Knoxville without a K, not the city in Tennessee, and ZA at the end. That's it.
All right. Thanks, Noxville.
Cool.
Shout out to Noxville for taking the time to be here. Let's recap OG. The things helping OG going into this event are Fly and No Tail staying together, a team established early in the shuffle with lots of practice, and a motivated and dedicated group. Working against them is the challenge of deciding lanes and roles, as well as the pressure on Jirax to fill Crit's shoes. The X factor for OG will be their core dynamic, and if they can get No Tail, Anna, and S4 to click as a team. I pulled the analysts who've joined me and a couple who couldn't to see what they thought. Here we see the analysts largely agree OG will place 5th-6, with 2 higher placements pulling their median to 3-4. Can OG get their cores straightened out in time to perform? Tune into MDL to find out. I'm Bonsai, and thanks for watching Breakdown. Let me know if you agree or disagree with our analysts with a comment here or on Twitter. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and subscribe. If you have any feedback for the show, you can comment here, tweet, or email me. Huge thanks to my partner Jonas, who created our graphics and helped produce this show. You can find his social media here as well. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.